Hi everyone, this is my Necromancer Shadowblight build guide walkthrough video this season 9. This is a build that our main damage is coming from our key passive called Shadowblight. Unlike other key passives, Shadowblight is the only one that inflicts damage. I'm going to discuss the mechanics, key items, aspects and skills, heraldic spells and jewels, and further explanation of the mechanics and skill interactions. Let's start with the mechanics. In order to inflict the damage of the Shadowblight, the enemy must take 8 hits of shadow damage, and the efficient way to do this is through our corruption damage, also known as shadow damage over time. This type of damage has a certain duration, and each damage can stack on top of another corruption damage. This will require close combat as we need to be within the Blight's defiled area for more damage. For the key items, we are using the Ebon Piercer unique amulet. The projectiles will add corruption damage and will also benefit with the temper affix blight chance to cast twice. These projectiles doesn't spawn a defiled area but will inflict corruption damage within the enemies it hits. The projectile will help on more area coverage of our damage, especially on clearing trash monsters during speed farming. For Ebon Piercer's unique power, the damage number is important as it will add more damage and skills with our buffs, and at max value will outperform the affixes even if they have GAs. For our aspects, we use Blighted, Damp, and Decay. Decay will further increase the damage of Shadowblight, and place Blighted aspect on two-handed sword. Void aspect to help on pulling the enemies to the defiled area. This is also great on dungeon and Infernal Horde runs. Our ultimate skill Soul Rift will assist on providing us essence, damage, multiplier, and applying vulnerable to enemies. We are maximizing the multiplier damage from Reaper's Pursuit since we have a big additional ranks from Ebon Piercer. Therefore, our skill bar only contains darkness skills. We use Blighted Corpse Explosion for activating the Flesh Eater and to become one of darkness skills and additional corruption damage hit. Curse Aura to auto-inflict Abhorrent Decrepify for reducing our active cooldowns, especially for our Soul Rift. Besides our Shadowblight, we are still continuously dealing corruption damage, and the Withered Legendary node will further increase their damage. Since the shadow damage of Shadowblight is not a corruption damage, therefore this damage can crit, and we are adding Garrune with Seer for additional crit chance. For additional survivability, we use Q-Rune with Ahu for the barrier. For the Mythic setup, we will need the Era Perdition and Shroud of False Death. If you have the Era Perdition, you can replace Garrune with Thal for more damage multiplier. For Elixir and Incenses, we are using Precision 2, Sage Whisper, Redamine Buzz, and Soothing Spices. For the heraldic spells, we use Disintegrate Catalyst for its shorter cooldown to be invoked, then Nebulous Extract Infusion for additional shadow damage over time. For the Arcana, Fractured Core to disable defensive aura of elites. Be cautious on this effect as you can get a 15% damage negative buff for each elite that we disable, and this will also stack. Keep your distance on your enemies until it wears off after a few seconds. Bloody Charm for the execution effect, and Tranquil Stone for unstoppable effect. For the heraldic jewels, we use Seal of Denial for more barrier amount, Tyrant Bane, and Idol from Below. How to increase the Shadowblight's damage frequency? An enemy needs to take 8 times of shadow damage hits in order for Shadowblight to deal the shadow damage, and this is where our corruption damage will play its part to increase the frequency. We have several corruption hitters. Let's identify them and how long is their duration. We have Blight's defiled area for 6 seconds, Ebon Piercer with 3, Blighted Corpse with 6, Soul Rift with 8, and for Season 9 we have Disintegrate that we can turn it into a corruption damage using Nebulous Extract with 8 seconds. To inflict as many shadow hits per second, this will depend on your attack speed and the percentage of Blight's chance to cast twice, because the Blight and Ebon Piercer's projectiles including Blight Corpse will have the majority of the corruption hits. You need at least 150% attack speed and cast chance at 70%. Here is my approximate calculation on how many Shadowblight damage instants based on our skills and their duration. We are going to use attack speed at 1.5 and cast chance at 1.70. This will give 2.55 Blight cast per second, or let's call it shadow per second. Ebon Piercer has the same effect, Therefore, we have Ebon Piercer at 2.55 also. Blighted Corpse with 1 per second, Soul Rift with 1, and Disintegrate with 1 also. This will give a total of 8 hits per second. As you keep casting your skills, we are adding layer of corruption damage as each damage per second will still continue after adding a new layer. But only Blight, Ebon Piercer, and Blighted Corpse are the skills that can add multiple layers of corruption. Blighted Corpse can add another 3 or more depending on how many corpse you consume, but don't overuse this as you will lose your Blight's casting momentum. While Disintegrate and Soul Rift is at constant 1 hit throughout their duration, after 2 seconds, the additional Blight, Ebon Piercer, and Blight Corpse, let's assume at 3 consumption, it will add 8.1 on top of the first layer, now at a total of 16.2. Then at 3 seconds, 24.3. And 3 seconds will be our approximate peak number of hits because one of the layer of Ebon Piercer will expire after 3 seconds. In this example, at 24 peak hits per second, we can inflict the Shadowblight's damage 3 times per second. This build is efficient on fast farming, open world activities, and infernal hordes, all torment for bosses except this will struggle with survivability on Harbinger of Hatred and Andariel fights. Duriel would be the ideal Greater Lair boss to go. I forgot to mention I am using the Unmaker helmet for Soul Rift duration so that I don't have to use the Zek rune. An additional rank on Imperfectly Balanced will further increase our Blight's corruption damage. The gameplay on this video doesn't have any mythics, with only Masterwork rank 8 on all items except the Helm. This was also able to clear Pit 90. Further details on the items, aspects, and the rest of the aspects required, Book of the Dead, Mercenary, Skill Tree, and Paragon board can be accessed on the link on the description box below. For any questions, feedback, and suggestions, feel free to post on the comment section below. If you like this video, how about subscribing on my channel and click the notification bell so that you'll be updated on my next videos. You can also visit my Twitch channel when I play the game. You can have a chat with me and enjoy the journey of my builds and my fun gameplay when I go live. Hope you enjoyed this build. Thank you very much for watching. See you on my next video and have a good one. Bye!